What a day! What a weird day. It's weird that like the press conference for Wayne Rooney was still today, like earlier today. That feels like it happened in a different uh decade over here somewhere. So yeah, that was weird. Yes, so Derby did the deadline day business. I'll take these off because you can all see my reflection. Derby did their deadline day business in a mad, frantic dash, which we all knew it was going to be once the embargo got lifted because the squad needed players. Rooney said he needed players. He needed those players. I'll get to your questions in a minute and comments and all that stuff. Rooney said he needed more than one player, and he said, he wanted 2, 3, 4, 5 if he could get them. He got 5. 3 have gone, Whittaker and Evans permanently, and Jamal Hector Ingram on loan. Now, let's talk about the serious stuff first. We'll get to all the wonderful, exciting stuff. Let's talk about the serious stuff first. That is a lot of loan players. That's a lot of loan players. That's 6 in the squad total. You look at Matt Clark and the 5 they brought in today, and 2 have gone permanently. That's not to say that they don't have a plan, but you hope to God they've got a plan, because with the transfer embargo was about the pay, Joseph. I'll take that one now. Yeah, that's a lot of players on loan, and that squad is going to be thin come the end of this season, because you've also got Curtis Davis is out of contract. You've also got Andre Wisdom that's out of contract. You've got Colin Kazim-Richards that is out of contract. You've got Mine Waghorn that is out of contract, and 6 loans are going to walk out the door. That squad could shrink by 10 at the end of the season. Now, I'm pretty sure that they are going to wrap those things up, and yes, you get to them further down the line. But you're allowed to be concerned. You are allowed to have that little teeny tiny nugget of concern. My understanding is that they do want Colin Kazim-Richards to stay, and he would be very happy to stay, even on reduced terms. So that's one that probably gets done. Right, let's work our way through these signings. Oh my God, what was first? Mengi, yes, Mengi, centre back, very very highly thought of. I think, although he's 18, there are big expectations for him. There are expectations for him to play minutes straight off the bat, and that's a position where Derby were thin. They were really really thin there. If Clark or Wisdom got injured, they were done for. They bring in Mengi. Rooney said has been watching him for about a year or so now. They bring him in. Very talented young man, has been captain of the under-23s on certain occasions. Everyone thinks at Manchester United that this guy is going to be a star. And it is no surprise to see Rooney leaning on those contacts. And then where else did it? The other centre back, Edmondson from Rangers. Again, adding to that squad depth. Again, leaning on contacts that he's got with Steven Gerrard at Rangers. Now, he is an interesting one in that he's only a couple of years removed from playing League Two football with Oldham Athletic. Shout out Oldham. But Steven Gerrard obviously coveted him really highly. Now, he went from nearly not getting a contract at Oldham to being in the team of the season at the end of that year, and then Rangers paid £500,000 for him. He hasn't really got much of a look in at Rangers. I think he's been like the 3rd or 4th centre back there, but he played against Braga, and our Rangers guy told me that was just like the standout performance of what he can bring. Nicknamed the Fridge because he's 6'3" and huge, good with the ball at his feet, has concentration lapses. Now, he's a young defender, young in terms of not only his age, but young in terms of how many like top flight games he's played. I think he's played 8 games for Rangers since he joined them. The most games he's got has been in League Two with Oldham. But if he is allowed to be basically a squad player, then that's good. That's really, really good. If you're not asking him to contribute, start every single week, and of course you'll want him to start every single week. He'll want to start every single week. That's a healthy competition for places. But yeah, really, really good to get that in. His name escapes me. The young man from Everton, the holding midfielder. That was a late one. So obviously, it looks like Derby are going to lose Christian Bielik for a significant amount of time. Now, Rooney said that they need to wait on results of the scan, but Yes, Benny. Yes, him. Rooney said they're waiting on results of the scan, but he also said that they're fearing the worst, and anything less than the worst would be a bonus. Rooney's been upfront and honest about everything so far. That's brutal. That is brutal to hear. Because it's almost, well, when he went down, it was just over a year ago that he goes down with the ACL. So honestly, man, that absolutely sucks. Thoughts, prayers, positive energy, everything we can to Christian Bielik, who was balling when he was playing out there. So I hope he gets fit as soon as he possibly can. So Derby have now got depth at the base of midfield. Max Bird will come in and presumably pick up the Bielik role. You've got Shinnie there. And now you will probably get Jason Knight moving back into the middle because they've got Patrick Roberts now who can play on the wing. So that's all good. Wallop, marvellous, lovely, isn't life great? Patrick Roberts, let's talk about him. Yes, Patrick Roberts. Not played a lot of football over the last couple of seasons. Now, Neil Warnock, I think, went on record earlier in the week and said, well, his ability is obvious. His consistency is a problem. So that feels like a Derby signing. The ability is undoubted. I think Patrick Roberts is a very, very good championship winger. He was played at wing back for a little while under Woodgate, I remember, when he was playing this three at the back and Roberts was one of the wing backs. He was very good last year. Do you remember the 2-2 draw last year? Roberts was one of the better players in that game for Middlesbrough. Really, really talented player. But yes, consistency is an issue. The amount of games he's played over the last couple of seasons is an issue. His best spell has been at Celtic. He spent sort of 2.5 years at Celtic where he racked up sort of about 60 games and 15 goals. Really, really good. If they can get that kind of production out of him, then yeah, that'll be a successful signing. They needed more width. They really needed more width. Tom Lawrence obviously is battling an ankle problem now, which is keeping him out a bit longer than they hoped, but Rooney wants to get him up to the fitness code that he's going to demand of these players. And if you ain't going to run a lot, you're not deemed fit enough. But he is stepping up his fitness work. And obviously we know Jordan Ibe. We'll get to Lee Gregory. We're going through them in an order of position. So we'll get to Lee Gregory. And Jordan Ibe is away for obviously personal reasons. He is on a training program at home, I think Rooney said, at the moment, while he tries to stay fit and also take care of everything up there. Again, all the positive vibes and energy and everything positive we can to Jordan Ibe. I know it's easy for some fans to say, well, they have given him chances and he's had opportunities and he's blown them and stuff. Look, this is a 25-year-old man right now who is struggling in life. Nothing else matters. He needs support. So just all the positive vibes, we're throwing them at the screen. Come on, Jordan, you got this. Lee Gregory, that the fifth one? 2 centre-backs. Midfield up winger, Lee Gregory. That's the fifth one. Yes, they needed depth up front as well. They needed that. Kazim Richards has done an admirable job. He's done a brilliant job, to be fair, since he has come to the club. However, they don't really have a way to mix things up. Obviously, Jack Marriott is out on loan, and I think it was pretty obvious that Rooney didn't really fancy Marriott. Once Rooney got the job and Marriott had come back from his loan spell to train at Moor Farm while he had a calf injury. The thing that always stands out to me about that was after Rooney's debut against Barnsley, he dug out Marriott live on Sky TV, said he was lazy with his chances and stuff like that. And that was just like, oh man, that ain't good. Now, that kind of set the tone for where we are now because he don't mince his words. So they needed a little bit of a different option up front. I think while Waghorn can play sort of, little bit of both. I think it's obvious that Rooney is going to use him maybe off the bench. But Gregory is another one. He hasn't played since November. He's going to take a little bit of time and it's going to take a little bit of chemistry in terms of runs and how he likes the ball being played into him and stuff like that. But a bit more of a fox in the box type striker, whereas Colin is big target man. You play off him, get runners around him. I think Gregory is more in the mould of Marriott, where you want him in the box, you want him in and around the box, and then once that ball comes in, like he shouldn't be going much further away from that 18-yard box, if at all. You really want to keep him there. And it just gives them a bit more of a different option. Also means you've now got the flexibility to play two up front, and that's always lovely. Because we've seen with the 3-4-3, or when you want to go sort of more conventional strikers, Jozwiak has typically played this sort of quasi centre forward, just sticking with Kazim Richards. Jason Knight has done some stuff as well in terms of staying sort of a couple yards from Kazim Richards. Now you've got two out and out centre forwards. You can go two up front, more conventional. That's all lovely. People asking me about Gordon. The last I heard, they were just rating on approval for the Premier League. But as far as I know, he's going to be a Liverpool player. So yes, Marriott in the homes category. I honestly don't know, Tom. But it wouldn't surprise me if that's how Rooney felt internally, just because of sort of, well, he's not here. Look, Rooney's been very, very clear. The players he wants at the football club will stay at the football club. They had a recall clause on Marriott. They didn't use it. They sent him back. So you can connect some dots. You can consider, because bearing in mind, they sent Marriott back knowing that they were thin at centre forward. I think it's the same way that they left a fit Dwayne Holmes at home and putting 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds on the bench. Sometimes that says a lot than a manager coming out and giving a quote ever will. So, yeah, I don't think Jack is in the highest standing with Rooney right now. Let's see what else we got. Man, we have got a lot in here tonight. Thank you all so much, by the way, for hopping in here at midnight. Fuck me. When will I be back? Liam will be back when he's ready to be back. I don't think anyone can put a timetable on something like that. Now, there is this perception, and I wrote about this, but if you don't subscribe to The Athletic, you won't have read it, so I'll explain it now. There is this perception that Jordan Ibe collects £20,000 a week and is chilling and is just sort of dicking round, for lack of a better phrase. My understanding is his contract is peanuts, absolute peanuts, that is heavily based on incentives that he has to earn while out on the pitch, which he is not getting on right now for reasons. So it's not like he's collecting a massive paycheck and Derby are just not seeing any return on it. Of course, they're not seeing a return on what little investment they have made in him. But I think it's fair to say that the financial problems are not down to Jordan Ibe not playing. So, yeah, I understand the frustration. I bet there is frustration internally at Derby as well. But it is so difficult when stuff like that happens. But he ain't collecting a big old paycheck. He needs to be well. He's just a young dude that needs to be well. So he'll be back when he's ready to be back, and all we can do is hope. And if you're a praying person, then pray that he will be back as soon as possible. Again, positive vibes, positive thoughts. What else? All available for tomorrow. They've been registered by the EFL, so I think that means yes. But I would assume that throwing all of them in at once, particularly in the starting 11, would be a bit of a disaster. Maybe some make the bench. I would assume that a couple would make the bench, particularly again at centre-back, where they only have sort of two fit ones, and have let now George Evans walk, and obviously Christian Bielik is not going to be there. So I'd assume some would make the bench. I've had a great birthday. Heskey is God. Happy birthday to you. Where else are we? What else? Roberts any good? Is Roberts any good? Ability wise, yeah, he's really good. He can play left or right. He's very agile, and I think in terms of his technique, when Manchester City signed him, they thought he was going to be like Phil Foden. Is the biggest compliment I can pay him in terms of his pure ability. Now that hasn't happened, but that's not to say that he can't still make a difference at this level. I think he was always going to struggle in a Neil Warnock team, any Neil Warnock team, because his team is based around typically robustness and structure. And Roberts, I think, is a lot more of a free-form footballer, where if you give him that kind of freedom and so on, he will be productive. Someone compared him to Tom Lawrence. That's not a bad comparison. So yeah, that's where we are with Roberts. Tons of ability, consistency will be an issue, has been an issue, probably will continue to be an issue. Only allowed to have 5 loans on a match day squad is correct, George. Yeah, so they've got 6 in like the squad of 25 already. So it means that 1 will be missing out from squad to squad. Look, health competition for places. That's what you want. So yeah, you can't. And again, Rooney said he wanted permanent signings. I assume that was always the plan, but plans change. And particularly on deadline day, plans will always change. So yeah, that's kind of what it is. It does suck that they didn't get permanent ones in again, because as we talked about at the top of the show, look at us calling it a show like it's professional and not just the barely lucid ramblings of a man in his office. So yeah, when you take into consideration all the players at the end of the season who could potentially leave, it's a little bit that's not great. But hey, some of those loans might become permanent. Some of those guys might turn. Some of those guys might sign new contracts. We just don't know. Football's mad. Look at what Derby have just done in the last couple of hours. Of course it's mad. It's fucking mad. And it's Derby County, so it's doubly mad. Just having a tug over our deadline day deals while watching me, Connor. Oh, man, that's gross, bro. Thank you, Phil. Oh, guys, for like this is my job. It's my job to relay the information to you people. But thank you all so very, very much for thanking me. Thank you all for engaging. This is a wonderful, lovely thing, and I appreciate you all very, very much. Right, let's wrap this up because it's after midnight on a school night, no less. And we have got a game tomorrow, so let's take all the positive vibes and energy, sending positive vibes to all of you, to all of your loved ones, to Christian Bielik, to Jordan Ibe. And let's go get it tomorrow. Take care, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. The biggest audience that we've had so far, so this is great. Thanks so much, everybody. Take care. Bye.